Magandang araw Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao. Ito po ang Ingon News Commentaries. Nagbabalik ko pang maghatid ulit sa inyo ng mahahalagang pangyayari na nagaganap po dito sa ating bansa. Ngayon po ay araw ng Biyernes, Oktubre 3, 2025 at ito po ang ating headlines sa araw na ito na nakalap mula sa mga leading news outlets sa ating bansa. Umabot na sa 69 na katawang namatay habang 126 naman ang sugatan dahil sa nangyaring lindol sa Cebu kung saan 30 sa mga namatay ay naitala sa Bogo City na sentro ng pagyanig. Pangapahayag ni PBBM at BP Sara na bumisita sa Cebu matapos manalasa ang lindol na umabot sa 6.9 magnitude. Pag-adapt ng House Resolution na pinaburan ng mga senador upang hilingin sa ICC na ilipat sa house arrest ang dating Presidente Duterte na ngayon nakakulong sa ICC Detention Center sa The Hague, Netherlands. Privilege speech ni Senador Marcoleta ukol sa 100 billion pesong halaga ng insertions na sinabi ni Senador Lacson. At ito ang buod ng ating mga balita.
Pinangangambahang madaragdagan pa ang bilang ng mga nasawi sa pagtama ng 6.9 magnitude na lindol sa Cebu kagabi. Batay sa ulat ng National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council o NDRRMC, umabot na sa 69 katao ang naitalang namatay dahil sa pagyanig habang nasa 186 naman ang sugatan. 30 sa mga nasawi ay galing sa Bogo City na siyang epicenter ng lindol. Naramdaman din ang pagyanig sa mga kalapit na lugar, kabilang na ang iba pang lalawigan sa Central Visayas at pati na rin sa Western and Eastern Visayas. Daan-daang aftershocks naman ang naitala ng PHIVOLCS at inaasahang magpapatuloy pa ang mga pagyanig sa Cebu sa loob ng 1 linggo. Tuloy-tuloy naman ang isinasagawang search and rescue operations ng mga otoridad.
Sa akong mga kaigsuunan sa Cebu ug uban pang mga isla sa Visayas, kinasing-kasing nga pag-ampo ug pakasubo sa tanang apektado sa linog nga mitay og sa Visayas. Nasayod ako nga dili matungkad ang kasakit nga inyong gibati ug kalisod nga inyong giatubang karon. Apan taliwala sa gibilin nga kadaot sa trahedya sa inyong mga pamilya o komunidad, dili unta kamo mawad-an ug pagsalig ug paglaom. Magsilbi unta kamong tinubdan sa kakusog, kamaayo ug kadasig sa tanan. We are fervently praying for your safety in Cebu and other parts of the Visayas affected by the earthquake and aftershocks. We ask God to grant comfort to those who have lost loved ones and to provide relief and strength for those holding their families together amid property loss and damage.
The earthquake was very strong. Pagka yung mga ganyang klaseng numbers, that's a very, very big number already. So we're assessing the damage, we're assessing the needs na pangangailangan.
This is the resolution on the ICC house arrest of former President Duterte. So moved, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, consideration of proposed Senate Resolution 144 taking into consideration number 17 and 18 is now in order. Secretary is directed to read the title of the resolution.
Resolution expressing the sense of the Senate requesting the International Criminal Court to hold former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte under house arrest for humanitarian considerations.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. May we recognize our distinguished Minority Floor Leader, Senator Alan Peter Compañero Cayetano, to sponsor the measure.
The Minority Leader, Senator Alan Cayetano, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sir President, allow me to just say some words that is personal to me as a person, as a Christian, as a Filipino, as a senator of this republic. I remember, Mr. President, na pinag-uusapan kasi yung smuggling ng bigas. At nandito po si then Mayor Duterte. In fact, dun muna siya naghintay sa kwarto ni Senator Pia. And in the course of their conversation, tinawag nila ako. We joined. Then may nasabi si Mayor Duterte doon that caught my ear. No? Sabi niya, Pia, Senator, formal siya. Sabi niya, Senators, Senator Pia, Senator Alan, how I deal with criminals in Davao, I take responsibility, and one day before God, I have to account. Not exact words, but basically ang sinasabi niya, nung na-elect siya, he has to take responsibility and he knows there is an accounting. Few years later, September 29, 2015, hindi ko po makalimutan, lumipad po ako Davao. I asked him if he's running for president and I asked him if I could join him. He took a piece of paper, he drew yung mga graduate ng PMA, police, and then pag nagiging colonel, nagiging militar, and then he started talking about corruption and how drugs corrupted the law enforcement, and then how it will spread sa judges, sa politicians, etc. No? Long story short, after that night, instead of asking him to run, sabi niya hindi siya tatakbo, or instead of asking him if I could run as his vice president, lumabas na lang sa bibig ko na if you run, I will be for you. If you choose me, I will campaign with you. If you don't choose me, I am now committed to you. And as we say, the rest is history. There's a lot of things that we have to account for. There's a lot of truths that have to be uncovered on the part of those who are pro-Duterte. There's a firm belief that it was to protect the human rights of all Filipinos, especially against the menace of drugs. On the side of some human rights activists, tingin nila this is some deranged maniac who just wants to kill everyone. So, yun yung extremes. But I remember, I think a year, 2 years ago, I met a pastor, nagkukwentuhan kami. Then he said a prayer, then he told me, you know, Alan, God wants you to know that Duterte is not as good as how his supporters describe him to be. But he is also not as bad as how his detractors want him to be or describe him to be. The point is, Mr. President, we can go back and forth about history, but the wheels of justice is moving, whether here in the country or in the ICC. Having said that, I know 3 things. 1, you are presumed innocent until you're proven guilty. And all human rights activists will say, yung tunay ha, hindi yung nagkukunwari na human rights activist. Ang sasabihin po, yung humanitarian treatment. Meron po kasing nagsasabing human rights activist pero siya, bakit siya? Hindi niya binigyan ng due process at pinatay niya. I can't help but remember people like Rene Sagisag who stood tall here in the Senate na kahit anong baho nung kaso o nung issue, pagtingin niya dapat may magtanggol, pagtatanggol niya. Di ba? Kasi sabi niya, they deserve a lawyer. No matter how you think they're guilty, etc. So there are a lot of human rights activists we should and we can and we should pay tribute to. But my point is this. It is not against the tenets of human rights to allow any person, especially a former president of the country, to be under house arrest or to be under a country supervised under ICI, especially in the condition of President Duterte, who is 80 years old, who is, well, at least when he was brought there, was mentally strong. I don't really know how he is now. Pero, Mr. President, I mean, tayo, magkakasama tayo nung pandemic. You were Senate President. I was Speaker. Senate Majority Leader was Majority Leader. Grabe po yung lungkot nung sa bahay, opisina ka lang. We were still holding office. Pero, can you imagine how President Duterte is coping now? So, I'll oversimplify the resolution, and I know members of the Senate, especially the minority, will also speak. No, most of us here served with President Duterte, regardless whether we're always in agreement, disagreement with him. I wasn't always in agreement with him. No, but having said that, Mr. President, ang appeal lang po is humanitarian treatment, and ang appeal po is that we do it as a country. So first step ang Senate, but I'll use this podium to appeal to Malacanang. might disagree very much with the Dutertes now, with all his children or most of his children, with some of his grandchildren, with people who claim to be Duterte diehard supporters. But again, balik tayo sa humanitarian. Pag tinakpan natin yung pangalan o yung mukha niya at ganun yung sitwasyon, tutulong ba tayo o hindi? Di ba? So, I was looking for something to read the other night. Nabuksan ko po yung isang libro saying, hindi bago nung sinabi ng Panginoon Jesucristo, love your enemies, pray for them, pray for people who prosecute you. Sabi sa Leviticus pa lang, nandun na yon. So I guess part of our struggle as a people is, how to deal with each other when we disagree politically. And again, hindi ko po binababa yung temperature. Human rights is important. All these issues should be threshed out, and it will be threshed out in the ICC. Diba? May ICI ka na dito, may ICC ka doon. So, but one thing we don't want to do, is to see the former president suffer as if it is a punishment when he has not been convicted. So, Mr. President, this is not only for him, but it is for us as a nation. I cannot imagine what the country will do if something, I don't want to say it, but if something happens with him in the detention center at wala man tayong ginawa. So I'd like to thank you, Mr. President, the Majority Leader. I'd like to thank our colleagues that we took this up today, but I'd like to appeal to the palace na pag-aralan din nila. Just on that humanitarian, huwag nyo nang pansinin lahat ng tumitira o nagsasabi sa inyo o sa politika. Ang punto dito, he's a citizen of our country, he's 80 years old, he needs medical attention, he needs his family, he needs people to talk to. So thank you for this opportunity, Mr. President, and may I defer naman to the Majority Leader who will also sponsor this measure. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise today on a matter of personal and collective privilege. Last Sunday, September 28, Senator Panfilo Lacson revealed that almost all senators in the 19th Congress inserted at least 100 billion worth of items in the 2025 GAA, citing that he had gathered documents showing that those were individual insertions. He said that such insertions could threaten the economy. Sinabi pa po niya, Mr. President, sa budget deliberation, pwede kong tanungin ito bakit pinayagan ito. Ang pagbusisi, lalo sa plenary, gusto kong malaman ilan ang isiningit na insertion, ang nag-release at paano na-implement. Mr. President, when former DPWH Undersecretary Cabral, as disclosed by Senator Lacson, offered insertions in the 2026 budget to the Senate President, Senator Soto boldly refused, invoking transparency and good governance. At that time, he appeared to draw a moral line that insertions were wrong. Does this mean that the Senate President never had budget insertions during all the time he served as Senator of the Republic and as Senate President for almost 5 years? Yet when it was revealed that 100 billion worth of insertions actually found their way into the 2025 budget through the Senate itself, the Senate President shifted tone and justified them as part of the regular budget process. At the start of the plenary session last Monday, he even said, and I quote, "Amendments, insertions, or whatever you want to call it, whether individual or institutional, are part of the regular budget process. These seemingly inconsistent positions have once again stirred confusion not only within this chamber, but more importantly, among our people." Just yesterday, Mr. President, Senator Lacson clarified that he did not mean to put anyone on the spot, but expressed that this is a chance for both houses to heed to the public outrage against corruption. Yet the fact remains, his prior statements have already cast doubts and shadows not just to the individuals he alluded to, but also to the integrity of this institution. His disclosure last Sunday ended up banners of newspapers Monday morning, to the consternation of his colleagues. While a caucus was called in the afternoon of the same day to explain that it was not meant to put anyone on the spot but to heed the public outrage, it's too late in the day, Mr. President. Mr. President, the confusion is further compounded. For years, Senator Lacson made it his moral crusade to denounce budget manipulations as the breeding ground of corruption, particularly infrastructure projects like flood control. He called them humongous budget insertions that fueled waste and abuse. But then in the wake of public outrage, instead of pressing for accountability and demanding justice for past misuse, he appeared to have abruptly shifted tone. After pontificating on the evils of insertions, he suddenly got off from his hobby horse of morality and simply urged both chambers to heed the public outrage. What does this mean, Mr. President? That after all the thunder, we simply move on. This inconsistency, first condemning insertions as corrupt, then quietly moving on without demanding redress, only deepens public distrust. Are we truly committed to reform, or merely staging rhetorical battles without the resolve to clean up the rat? This flip-flop erodes the consistency of our institution's stand. Are insertions wrong, or are they right? If they are wrong, why did we allow them? If they are right, why did we deny them before? Mr. President, we must confront this issue not with rhetoric, but with clarity of principle. The Senate is tasked under the Constitution with the power of the purse and the vital function of oversight. But let me ask, is oversight synonymous with budget insertions? Or are insertions merely convenient vehicles for pork and patronage? Without a clear framework, we risk reducing this chamber to nothing more than a rubber stamp of the powers that be, thereby undermining the checks and balances carefully designed by the framers of our Constitution. The so-called flood control scandal illustrates the urgency of this clarification, Mr. President. For years, billions of pesos were poured into flood control projects. Yet today, every typhoon, every monsoon rain still brings massive flooding to our communities. Where did the money go? Were the projects properly planned and implemented, or were they merely vehicles for lump sum appropriations and political accommodations? If Senate oversight means anything, it must mean exposing these abuses. But if oversight is confused with insertions, then the Senate itself becomes complicit. Instead of protecting the people from waste and corruption, we risk becoming enablers of it. This is why the rules must be clarified so that oversight is exercised as a constitutional duty, not as a bargaining chip for the insertions hidden in the budget. Mr. President, our people demand clarity. They demand consistency. Most of all, they demand accountability. The budget is not the private purse of politicians. It is the lifeblood of the nation. The flood control scandal is proof that unless we strengthen our oversight function, billions will continue to be wasted, and the Filipino people will continue to miserably suffer. I therefore urge this chamber to undertake a comprehensive review of our rules and practices on budget amendments and insertions, to draw the line between legitimate oversight and illegitimate manipulation, and to reclaim the public trust in our stewardship of their hard-earned taxes. Let us not be remembered as the Senate that equivocated on principle, let us be remembered as the Senate that stood firm for transparency, for integrity, and for the Constitution. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Before I recognize the Majority Leader, I just wish the presentation of the privileged speech of the gentleman was delivered while Senator Lacson was here. But nevertheless, to answer his question of whether from my 1992 to the present have I not had any insertions, I guarantee you I have never made any insertion in the budget. Because insertions are not tolerated, and I will never do that, because when I say insertions, that means it is inserted and it is not done in second reading. You know, but it is done in second reading, and that was my explanation of the 100 billion mentioned in the newspapers. When there are individual amendments and institutional amendments and done on second reading, that is not insertion. Insertions are the ones that were done with this previous budget, which was done in the BICAM. Yun ang insertion. Malinaw yun. May kaiba yung insertion sa amendment. Amendment is legally done during second reading and approved on third reading. Kayo, nagsabay ka na, nagpapasok ka doon, insertion yun. And I have never done that. All right? Now, the call to for this Senate to be open, we have already agreed. I already told the Senate Chairman of Finance that all amendments of senators will be done on the floor. They will own what they amend, whatever it is, and we will not accept any amendment in the bicameral conference committee, for the record. And so with that, and also the manifestation of Senator Senator Marcoleta is hereby referred to the Committee on Rules.
Iyan po ang lahat ng mga balitang nakalap po natin online. Para maging laging updated sa mga pangyayari dito sa ating bansa ay huwag kalimutang mag-subscribe sa ating channel at i-like ang video na ito at pindutin ang notification bell para man-notify ka kapag may bago tayong upload. Pwede rin po kayong mag-join sa ating membership community tab para mapanood ang mga members-only videos at makatanggap ng mga special badges at emojis na magagamit sa ating live session sa mga susunod na panahon kapag nakumpleto na po natin ang ating studio setup. Ito pong muli ang inyong lingkod, Ingo News Commentaries, katotohanan ang ating matibay na sandigan.